What's going on, fight fans? It's your host Sebastian, and welcome back to the Boxing Tip. Now, I came across a bit of frustrating news again, but once again, I guess it's early in the year, so you're not gonna really get too much solid news, whether it's good or bad. You're gonna hear a lot of talks and a lot of rumors, and nothing really gets set in stone when shit starts to get talked about at the beginning of a year. Boxing's a little bit slow right now. Obviously, the year just started, so it needs a little bit of time for things to get interesting. But aside from that, the news that frustrated me today was Orlando Salido is possibly not going to give Vasyl Lomachenko the rematch. Instead, they are looking more towards a fight with Francisco Vargas rematch. They did have what many people believe to be as a fight of the year, which I totally understand why they would see the reasoning behind this move, making a rematch with Francisco Vargas instead of Vasyl Lomachenko, for more reasons than just the fact that it was an entertaining fight. But apparently they've been getting a lot of feedback on whether or not they should fight Francisco Vargas again, or going and accepting these awards for fight of the year and stuff like that. They've been getting a lot of feedback saying that the fans are more wanting Orlando Salido and Francisco Vargas to have a rematch rather than Vasyl Lomachenko and Orlando Salido having a rematch. I guess that's what their feedback has been. But interesting enough, though, I know Francisco Vargas is he's a big draw. He's an exciting fighter. He's a pretty good fighter, and he's a title holder at 130-pound division. Orlando Salido, he's been in there with everybody. Holds the only victory over Vasyl Lomachenko in the professionals, even though the victory was a little taken away from given some of the circumstances, or watered down given some of the circumstances that were, some things that needed to be taken into account concerning the fight, like the missing weight, the low blows, the officiate, the referee, the officials, stuff like that. But not getting too much into that, to me it seems like, because of the type of fan that I am, I would much rather see the Vasyl Lomachenko versus Orlando Salido rematch. Not because I'm biased or anything, or I have like Vasyl Lomachenko is my favorite fighter or anything like that. It's just more so because since the loss to Salido, Lomachenko has gone to do very productive things in his career. Won a title in his third fight against, another supposed special talent in Gary Russell Jr. And then, he fights a couple of, makes a couple of defenses, taking on, the best available opponents that he can get, I guess. But then he makes up the jump up in weight, captures another title, breaks a world record. I think the world record was actually held previously by Naoya Inoue. That was done recently. I think Naoya Inoue had it in 10 fights, and Lomachenko got it done in 7. So yeah, he's done some pretty productive things in his career so far. I think it's only fitting that, and he beat Nicholas Walters. A lot of people said that Nicholas Walters was going to beat Vasyl Lomachenko. I personally didn't think Walters was going to win. I thought it was going to play out exactly the way it did play out. I just didn't think that Walters would quit. I thought it was going to go a full 12, or Lomachenko was going to potentially stop him towards the later rounds, just overwhelm him until maybe he gets frustrated enough to take that knee like some of his other opponents, or maybe hurt him. Just the fight's over and done with now, so I guess none of that really matters. But my point being is that Lomachenko has done some really productive things in his career. I think it's only fitting that he deserves to vindicate himself from the only loss that he has in his career. Now, if Orlando Salido doesn't want to give him that opportunity, hey, I understand it. You pretty much turned this dude into a monster. He wasn't the same fighter he was in his first fight, and he wasn't the same fighter he was in his second fight. He has progressed a lot. And I'm not just talking about the skill thing, the skill portion of that. Lomachenko's had those tools. He didn't just master them over a short period of time. He had the tools. Now he's really starting to bust them out, and he's not giving anybody even remotely a close chance to even having an edge over him. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about his mentality in the professional boxing. He's meaner. He's not afraid to call out the judges. He's not afraid to hit you low back, as we've seen with Gamaliel Rodriguez, to maybe teach you a lesson. He's not afraid to even implement a couple of little, I wouldn't say they were illegal, but they're, some roughhousing type of tactics as well. Lomachenko is adapted very well to professional boxing, and that's good for him. And I could see how Orlando Salido can maybe see him going up against a completely different fighter as he did the first time around. I'm not saying that he's scared of Lomachenko. Do I think Lomachenko beats him? Yeah, I do. I don't really see anybody beating Lomachenko right now. I've talked about Guillermo Rigondeaux and how I couldn't pick a winner of that fight even if I wanted to. I'm just too conflicted between the two guys, man. So me giving my opinion, being that I like the fighters so much, I'm a fan of their boxing so much, it would be kind of conflicting for me to pick a winner when they are pretty much my two favorite fighters to watch in boxing. So they just do everything so great. But basically my point is I wouldn't blame Orlando Salido for not wanting to take the fight with Lomachenko if it means him getting fucked out of another good payday with like a rematch with Francisco Vargas, or even a fight with Takashi Miura, which he had scheduled but had to pull out due to an injury or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but the fight got canceled pretty much. So, but if that's the direction Orlando Salido wants to go in, I get it. He's a little bit on the older side. He's got so many fights under his under his resume, man, and just he's fought everybody that they put in front of him, and win or lose, he kept moving in his career and managed to stay relevant for so long. Point me out another fighter with 13 losses who managed to stay this relevant. You know what I'm saying? So Orlando Salido has put in some work into his career. I cannot take that away from him. I just don't see the justification, in my opinion. I don't see any way of justifying not giving Vasyl Lomachenko a rematch. You're gonna make good money. I'm not pretty sure Lomachenko is a big enough draw to where you can get a decent paycheck from fighting him, even if you know that you're the overwhelming favorite to lose. It might just be, in my opinion, it is like a showcase fight. I think Orlando Salido is a live dog in any fight that he fights in. But just given the way that Lomachenko has progressed in his mentality towards professional boxing now, I just don't see how this isn't a showcase fight for Lomachenko, and to just prove to the world that, hey, he might have beat me that one time, but he fought a different type of fighter. Now he has to face the professional version of Vasyl Lomachenko, not the green to the professional Lomachenko. But I'm not trying to make any excuses for why he lost. He lost, big deal. Didn't change my opinion about him at all. And I still think he is probably at the top of my list for becoming the number one pound-for-pound fighter at some point in time. That's just my opinion. That's just the way I see his career playing out. He's got the tools. Shit ain't a problem for him when he's got all the tools to fix any problem that he has, especially inside the ring. He has the tools. He has more tools than probably anybody in boxing today. And I can go ahead and argue with anybody on that one. Pick me a fighter today who implements the same type of tools in the ring, or same, not the same, but more, who implements more tools in the ring than Vasyl Lomachenko. I'm willing to argue that with anybody. If you pull out Guillermo Rigondeaux on me, I'll probably argue with you, especially because I'm not going to disagree that Guillermo Rigondeaux doesn't have the tools. I just think he doesn't use the tools as frequently as he should. Not as he should, because he gets the job done regardless. I just think if he wanted to display more shit, he was able to. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm getting a little off track here. I want to see the rematch. Personally, I really do want to see the rematch. I'm a fan of both guys, man, so that alone sells me on the rematch. And I want to see if Lomachenko could beat him in a rematch. if you're not curious about that, then I don't really know what would make you curious about. I mean, what type of boxing fan you would be if you weren't curious to see if the man everybody's saying is the best boxer in the sport today would beat Orlando Salido in a rematch. If you're not curious, then I guess I can't blame you for it, but why wouldn't you be? I mean, if you're a fan of Lomachenko or of Orlando Salido, or both guys, I think you have every reason to be curious about how the fight will play out, in a rematch. I mean, most people have probably already made their minds up that Lomachenko would win, but hey, the guy did technically beat him, so I know he's not the favorite, but you gotta at least be a little excited about the fact that this is a good opportunity for Lomachenko to rid himself of all doubt as so far in his career. You know what I'm saying? Not going ahead, but looking back, erase the past doubts that people have had from him, and then just take away all the detractors' arguments about his only loss. You know what I'm saying? They tried to use that shit with the Nicholas Walters fight. I saw it in so many comment sections, it was not even funny. They pushed that Salido loss like it was the only thing they had, that the only thing that they could bring to the table was Orlando Salido beat Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? Oh, even when you mention all the things going into the fight, it doesn't matter. He still beat him. That's their argument. If Salido could beat him, why couldn't Walters beat him? Well, look what happened to Walters. He got fucking embarrassed badly. Like, it's probably one of the most, it almost made my girlfriend cry. And, my girlfriend don't even like fucking boxing, but she likes Lomachenko because of all the flashy shit, all the crazy stuff he does in the ring. But, she saw Walters just getting pretty much toyed with the entire fight. I'm pretty sure once Lomachenko knew that he took away all of Walters' biggest weapons, he had the fight in the bag. And I'm pretty sure he was convinced by that. Probably by the third round, he was probably convinced that he had the Walters fight in the bag. And my girlfriend was like, God damn, I told her, yeah, Walter's a beast, this is going to be a competitive fight, or that it was going to be a good fight. I was like, anything can happen. But she asked me, she's like, who are you picking? I'm picking Lomachenko. Yeah, I think once you give him about 3 or 4 rounds, it's going to be over from there. And then I said, if Walters doesn't knock out Lomachenko within the first 3 rounds, it's a done deal. At least in my opinion, it was going to be a done deal. And sure as shit, it only took really 1 round, but yeah, it was a done deal. And my girlfriend's like, what the fuck? I can't believe he did that to him, and yada yada yada. I can't believe he quit. And I'm like, it happened. She was like, something emotionally bothered her about that. It was embarrassing and shit. But if you could do that to a top-notch 130 and a top-notch 126 through 130 pound fighter, then your chances of beating the likes of Orlando Salido seem just that much better. You know what I'm saying? But who knows? I mean, obviously, boxing is one of the most money-motivated sports. Every fighter is kind of allowed to be somewhat of their own businessman. So, I'm sure they're going to try to make themselves as much money as they possibly can, with the help of their team and the promoters and the managers and everything else like that. But, if you're chasing the money, then Francisco Vargas might get you in. I don't know what the purses would look like, but I'm pretty sure you could probably get as much money fighting Vasyl Lomachenko as you would Francisco Vargas. The only difference is that with Lomachenko, you take a huge risk of either being embarrassed or being beaten badly, or you fight Francisco Vargas and you take the risk of being beaten, but Orlando Salido showed in the fight that he can be competitive with Francisco Vargas. Aside from, some of the low blows and shit, but that's Salido's MO, we all know that. Other than that, he showed he could be pretty competitive with Francisco Vargas. But Vargas has a fight with Burchelt coming up pretty soon. So if Orlando Salido is banking on a Francisco Vargas rematch, he's basically sitting on his ass doing nothing. He ain't fighting. So why not take the rematch versus Vasyl Lomachenko? Everybody's still going to want to see the Francisco Vargas rematch. But if you have the availability to fight Lomachenko now, why not get 2 big paydays in a row? Even if you might lose one of them. I don't know, but those questions I'm not an insider. I don't, I'm not I don't know these guys personally. I don't know what goes in their mind. I'm thinking about driving to like Arizona and maybe catching Salido on like Uber or something, and maybe I'll be able to ask my own questions then. But that's a bit of a ways away from where I live to get a taxi ride, so probably won't do that. So I don't know, but let me know what you guys think, man. I mean, do you guys think he'll take the fight, or what do you think is going to play out, or why do you think he won't take the fight or the rematch with Lomachenko? I mean, the number of reasons are endless, I'm sure, but only one of them is the truth. And I guess, like I've mentioned in a previous video, man, time sorts all that shit out. We'll know their intentions, just like with any other situation going on with boxing. We'll know everybody. Time's gonna weed that shit out eventually. It might not for every boxer, but for a lot of the shitty situations, like with Kell Brook, Errol Spence, and Amir Khan, time's gonna weed that shit out. We'll see what Brook does. You know what I'm saying? I hope he doesn't vacate. I really hope he fights Errol Spence Jr. But I'll save that for a later conversation. But let me know what you guys think, man. Subscribe to the channel. I'm almost towards 50 subscribers now. I consider that a bit of an accomplishment for myself. So I'm thankful for all you guys who have subscribed so far. Maybe I'll do a giveaway for my 100 subscribers. When I hit 100 subscribers, I want to do something back for you guys, man. Maybe I'll get like some t-shirts made up or something. I don't know. Maybe get some gear. I'll buy, I'll pay for some gear or something, and maybe do a little contest and maybe be able to give back to you guys in some sort of way, man, for helping my channel out. So I appreciate that. But yeah, introduce somebody to boxing. Share the video with your boxing homies. I will talk to you guys on the next one. Sebastian from The Boxing Tip signing out. Peace.